you all so much for being here tonight. We definitely appreciate y'all taking time out of your busy schedules to come watch a couple of grad students give presentations about boards and how to run an effective board. My name is Samantha Nagy, and here with me tonight are two of my colleagues.
My name is Christopher Mixon.
My name is Madison Kosater.
And we're going to be teaching you guys how to run an effective and engaging board meeting.
So first of all, we'd like to take you through a couple learning objectives. We know it's a lot of information that you all are getting tonight, so we just want to present you with 3 points that we would like you to take away before we're done with, or when we're done with our presentation. The first of these is learning how to spot problems of performance and purpose. Sam is going to take you through these. The second is learning how these problems arise and also how these problems can be addressed with the tools that we will present you in this presentation. And finally, knowing how to use Robert's rules as a mechanism of communication among your board members, and also applying Robert's rules to problems of performance and problems of purpose. So by the end of this presentation, we'll have come full circle. So if you would all take out your electronic devices, it's always so much fun to take out your phone in the middle of class, and we promise this won't count against your grade in the end. So if you will just type in kahoot.it, as you can see in the right-hand corner over there, and it's going to give you a code here.
According to Wikipedia, Kahoot is a game-based
So we can all learn a little bit about Kahoot from Wikipedia. And we're going to all do a little pop quiz.
So we're going to kahoot.it and you're typing this code right here.
We'll give you all a couple seconds to do it.
Usually there's music, but
Yeah, where's the music?
highly advanced system is so difficult to work.
Music won't start until everybody's logged in.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay. Teaching us something tonight.
You shouldn't have to make like an account or anything. It's just, I think you just enter a username. No, it's just an online thing. So if you go to your Safari and type it in on the URL, you're going to know it show you where.
Oh, yeah, see, you're as quick as me.
So here's the game you can open.
So once you have a couple players, we'll go ahead and start.
Yeah, you all can feel free to look on with each other too. Follow along. All right, yay!
Get maybe two more even. We'll go.
Naughty nicknames beware.
It's trying to load.
If you hit refresh and put the pin in again, it'll take it.
Yeah, I think it just went down for a second. So if you're having a problem, just refresh real quick. It should let you take over.
Okay, cool.
I think we're going to go ahead and start. So if you didn't get in, just follow.
All right, there's 5 questions to this. So, question number 1, what is a quorum?
So you're going to vote on your phone. So.
Mhm.
Awesome, good job. All of y'all got it right. So, a quorum is the minimum number of voting members required for a meeting. Question, oh, Sean H. in the lead. Good job, Sean. Question 2, should there be an even or odd number of board meetings present when establishing quorum? Odd. Awesome. Miss y'all got that one right. Sean H. still in the lead. Question 3, what is the written record of business covered at a board meeting called? Yeah, this is called the minutes. Oh, Sean H, what's going on? You fell a second. Question 4, under Robert's rules, how many votes are necessary to grant recess?
They won't choose.
Sign up again.
Oh, looks like a couple people are getting through.
There we go.
All right, majority, yes, majority is necessary. All right, final question. What do you say if you object to procedure or a personal affront when using Robert's rules? Point of order, yes. Most of you guys got that right. Alrighty, so it looks like our winner is VCF. So congratulations.
So you'll actually be continuing the presentation.
Sean H, you came a close second, so good job, you did well.
Way to pull through.
Way to pull through.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Okay. All right. So now that we've taken a little pop quiz today, we're going to talk about what's important at your board meetings. So the first problem that board meetings run into is called the problem of performance. And this is defined in our textbook as confusion about roles and responsibilities. So a lot of times board members run into problems of performance because maybe they're a little unsure of the job description. They don't really know how their duties pertain to the mission, and they don't necessarily know how to carry out these duties. And this leads into being unsure of the organization's mission. So if you're unsure of the organization, maybe you don't know how to carry out the specific duties related to that mission. Also, members may not be held accountable, which can lead to performance issues. So these problems can arise for a variety of reasons. The main one that we're going to focus on tonight is group dynamic issues. And there's several group dynamic issues that can happen in board meetings. This could be rivalries between a couple of board members, maybe domination of a board member, one-way communication, or just bad chemistry. Maybe the board doesn't really get along all that well, so that can cause some tension and some problems. Spotty attendance at board meetings, if people aren't showing up, it's really hard to get things done and really hard to carry out that mission that you're trying to do. So that leads to a huge problem of performance. Lack of participation during meetings, if people aren't raising their hands, interacting, and letting their voice be heard, well, then it's also hard to carry out that mission. And finally, board member inexperience. This one is really important when you welcome new members on board who aren't as familiar as more experienced board members are, so it's a little bit harder to get them engaged. So there's a couple solutions we can pose to this problem. The first one is team building exercises, and these are really great for improving communication, improving trust, and creating a better understanding among board members. The second thing that boards can do is incentivize their trustees, and this can be through monetary incentives, it can be through social rewards. And finally, the easiest thing to do, which is a great thing for all board members to do, is revisit those official job descriptions. Like I said, this is very easy, and everybody needs a little refresher of what exactly they're supposed to be doing, what role that they signed up for, so they're aware of how to make a positive impact within the organization. The second problem is a little different, and this is called problem of purpose. So this problem is defined in our textbook as many board members are ineffective because they're dissatisfied with their role. So when board members become dissatisfied with what they're supposed to be doing, maybe that means that some work is considered more crucial than others. So after fundraising or major events, maybe board members feel some kind of I don't know, there's like not a lot going on, there's some downtime. So maybe they're not sure of what they're supposed to be doing, or maybe they feel like they're not being as effective as they should be, so this can lead to a problem with purpose. Another thing that can lead to is unofficial and unofficial work, as well as putting effective governing at risk. So these problems can come up because non-official work is highly episodic, and that goes right along with fundraising and planning big events. Some official work is intrinsically unsatisfying, and we'll be zeroing in on that one in just a few minutes, taking a closer look. Some important unofficial work is undemanding, and some unofficial work is rewarding but discouraged, which poses big problems for members. So how do we solve problem 2? Well, we can pose a couple of solutions. The big one is for a need for mode of managing and leading, not necessarily just tasks and structure. So if you all were in here for the earlier presentation about generative thinking, this goes right along with that. And generative thinking is kind of like thinking outside the box. More critical thinking, thinking big picture, not necessarily using like this tasks and structural things that a lot of boards may do. This also makes governing a little more challenging and more consequential, and you can lay out short-term goals and long-term goals and differentiate between the two. So now I'll hand it over to Madison to solve these problems.
So Sam just threw a bunch of information to you about problems and how you can spot these problems and what they mean and how to solve them. And we are going to give you a way that we think is the best for solving these problems comprehensively. And we think this is Robert's Rules of Order. We just went over those in the Kahoot. I'm sure all of you are familiar and you've heard of it, you've used it in some sense before, and so we're going to just give you a crash course on it tonight. So Robert's Rules of Order are what are called parliamentary procedures, and not only is a parliamentary procedure a major tongue twister, but it's also a way to communicate in a consistent and meaningful and concise manner with a large group of people, which we're going to call a deliberative body, which is basically just a big group of people trying to decide something. So we're going to take you through this little crash course video to get you some basics about Robert's Rules. If we can get the volume working.
Hey Madison, you might want to look behind you in the corner. I think one of those. Did you see these?
So there's a lot of buttons here. Do you know how to use the buttons?
I think we're going to move on and I have a video, but we'll have lots more information. So this is just sort of a basic overview, which I feel most people already probably have that's in this room.
So if you were in this room for their presentation about generative thinking, this would be a great opportunity to use post-mortem thinking. If something doesn't work out, you should plan for something else. So Chris is going to take you through 10 basic rules of how to follow Robert's Rules.
Yeah, so these are just 10 basic rules that you should always keep in mind when you're utilizing Robert's Rules for your board meetings. So the first one is that the organization always supersedes the rights of the individual. So remember, always put your organization first, not your own personal opinions or ideas. So it's always about the organization. And again, all members are created equal, so everyone has the same ability to speak, everyone has the same voice to be heard. So make sure you remember that everyone's equal on the board. Third is a quorum must be present when conducting any work. So again, we learned what a quorum was earlier in the Kahoot. Number 4 is that the majority rules and also a 2/3 vote rules. So again, the majority or 2/3 vote has the power in a meeting. Again, silence means consent is another point. So again, if you don't speak, if you don't debate, then that means you're consenting to whatever motion or action is being taken. Again, there's one question and there's one speaker at a time, always. So don't interrupt other people when they're speaking, let them have their turn. Again, motions must receive full debate, so everyone that wishes to speak on the motion is able to do so. And that once a decision is made, again, you cannot bring that motion forward in that same session. And again, personal remarks are always out of order as strictly business, as I said in step 1. So we just go through the procedures for presenting a motion. So the first step is to obtain the floor. This is when a member raises their hand and when no one else has the floor, and the chair will recognize that member by name. The second step is to make your motion. So the member that is speaking says, I move that, whatever their motion they're trying to speak is. Another member will second that motion, and then the chair will restate the motion so everyone in the board can understand what is being presented. This motion goes under consideration. This is the debate phase. So the member that presented the motion always speaks first, and everyone else will have a turn to speak during this phase. The motion can be amended or tabled during this phase, and the debate can be ended with a 2/3 vote or by the chair. Step 4 is the chair puts the motion to a vote, and everyone states aye or nay on this vote, and then the chair will announce the results of the vote. So next we're just going to give you some debate tips for that step 3 when the motion is under consideration. So one of the main tips is always keep your speaking limit. So your organization should have a speaking limit when you utilize Robert's rules set by you. And it could be a minute, it could be 2 minutes, is whatever you decide. So make sure everyone stays to that time. Second is, again, the mover always speaks first. As I stated, but they also speak last at the end, unless the president or the executive calls upon them. Again, shouldn't interrupt the speaker unless you're making a point of order, such as you're objecting to a procedural move that they are doing. Again, listen and respect to others. Be polite. Those are very important things. And avoid questioning someone's motives. Don't assume that someone has a negative idea. Always assume that they are always doing what's best for your organization. And again, always speak clearly and concisely and make sure everyone understands exactly what you're talking about. So we're going to do a little role play right now for how to present a motion. So we're going to see how Robert's rules comes in handy. The board, so in this situation, our board is thinking about whether to do a percentage night at a bar in town. And let's see what happens.
Okay, now on to our next item of the agenda. Should we work with Main Street Bar to do a percentage night with them? We could definitely use some extra money for our next big event.
So the chair is going to recognize Madison so she can speak.
Ms. Chair, I move that we open the floor for debate over this percentage night.
Sure, Madison. Does anyone second her motion?
I second.
Okay, great. The floor is now open for debate over doing a percentage night with Main Street Bar.
We should do a percentage night because it is a great opportunity to get our name out to new people in town, and it's a great way to make some extra money for our next big event. People love to spend money on a night out.
Okay.
I don't think we should do this percentage night because working with a bar, associating ourselves with nightlife, is bad for our image. I think there are other places in town we could collaborate with that are more family friendly.
So notice how member 2 didn't interrupt Madison or say anything impolite to her. She was always respectful, and that's very important in Kentucky and board meeting.
So after hearing each side, I'll close this debate for now. Let's take a vote on working with the Main Street Bar. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, say nay.
Nay.
Well, since we're unable to resolve this for now, I will table this decision for when we have more time to discuss it. On to our next item.
So as you can see, all this was a short debate. It was a great example of how Robert's rules has helped the debate remain clear, respectful, and focused on the topic at hand. So next, Samantha is going to talk to you about how Robert's rules solves that problem of performance that we talked about in the presentation.
Yeah, so now that we've all been familiarized with Robert's rules or had a little bit refresher on it, we're going to talk about how they can pertain to the problem of performance, specifically with group dynamic issues, mainly focusing on domination. So Robert's rules can help diffuse or prevent domination through discipline. The board can enforce fairness through Robert's rules, so it will, like what we just saw in this role play happen, it will prevent people from talking over each other, and it will allow everybody's voices to be heard and have conversations in like a calm, charismatic way, which a board should have. There are a couple possible punishments when board members fail to comply. The main one is that the board member must apologize in the meeting, must apologize to the other meetings for behaving in this way. The board member could be sent out of the meeting for the remainder of the time, so we won't get to contribute to the rest of the conversation or any kind of decisions that the board might partake in. The board member may be put on strike. And in extreme cases, maybe the board will be, or maybe the board member will be expelled from serving on the board at all, but this usually doesn't happen. Like I said, this is a pretty extreme case, so these possible punishments, like having the board member apologize, are more common with these Robert's rules. And Chris is going to tell you a little bit about how to apply these rules to problems of purpose.
Yeah, so as we talked about, Robert's rules leads to equality among board members, and research has indicated that when people feel equal, they have an increased sense of motivation, and that also raises the retention rate. They're more likely to remain on the board if they have, or if they feel they have equality. So people are more inclined to share their opinions, more inclined to share their ideas in this situation, and this sharing of ideas, a sense of equality, gives people a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging in the organization. And this research indicates that feeling this sense of purpose leads to an intrinsic motivation to participate. So this solves the problem of board members not feeling like they belong in the board or they feel unmotivated. So through Robert's rules, you can lead this equality, and when people feel equal and they have the same ideas and opinions as everyone else, they're more likely to feel that they really belong to that organization. So now Madison's going to give you an overview of the things you learned today.
So, we just threw a lot of information at you all. So these are the 3 things we would love for you to take away. So the first of these is that problems arise when people can't communicate effectively. When people are talking over each other, when people don't feel as though they're a meaningful member of their board, they might feel intimidated by older or more experienced members of the board. These inefficient habits for communicating can really put a damper on your board's progress and how well you follow an agenda, and then how well you get things done. So communication habits can lead to this dysfunction and disengagement in board members. The second thing we would love for you to take away is that using a standard and equitable communication tool helps board members understand one another better and what their own roles are. So when you have a way to communicate with somebody else, maybe across the room, or that you don't know very well, or that maybe you haven't gotten along with in the past, having a clear-cut way to speak to them and what to speak about creates a much easier way for them to communicate. And this may be true for multiple members of the board. And the third thing we would love for you to take away is that Robert's rules, if you apply them correctly and consistently, are a great way to standardize your board's communication habits in a way that is equitable and efficient. So as you saw in our mock debate, nobody interrupted each other, which is ideal, of course, but it's just a way to put forth a set of loose rules that you should follow consistently to help everybody respect each other, to help everybody be clear, and most importantly, to follow an agenda in order to put the mission first, especially in these board meetings.
Okay, so in your packet, you all have a cheat sheet, a Robert's Rule cheat sheet, if you want to look for that. So all this is just something you can all take with you, and you can use this at your board meetings. It just simply has terms, how to table a motion, how to object to a procedure. And it's just a little chart that you can have with you. There's some more detailed information in there, but this chart is really helpful, and anyone at board meeting that may be struggling with Robert's Rules, doesn't know exactly what to say, this is something you can just have on you at your board meeting. So I would definitely recommend keeping that with you. And on our slides, on the next one, we have our sources on how to obtain this online also, if you'd like to find it online.
And this is a really good cheat sheet to look at whenever you want to be reminded of Robert's Rules, or even to hand out to those newer board members who may not be familiar with them.
Okay, so we're going to take questions at the end, as we stated earlier. So thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.